What's going on, guys? It's Paul Talks Patriots back with another episode. To start off, some crazy hiring this week for the Patriots. I think it was 5 days ago now. We hired Alex Van Pelt as our next offensive coordinator, taking over for Bill O'Brien. Well, he's been with the Browns since 2020, and you saw this past year he did pretty mediocre until Joe Flacco came back. But he did revitalize his career, and that's what he's known for. He's known for working with the quarterbacks. I don't know how well he is with working with the quarterbacks, though. Other than Joe Flacco, he worked with Andy Dalton in Cincinnati from 2018 to 2019. Andy Dalton, a three-time Pro Bowler. And then you see him in 2018 and 19 with Van Pelt. And you saw the Bengals drafting a quarterback first overall in 2020 because of how bad Andy Dalton did. Before that, he was with the Packers and had Aaron Rodgers. He was there for 4 seasons. And Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, so you can't really put any good or bad things on Van Pelt there. Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play the game. So it is what it is there. He spent a couple years as Green Bay's running backs coach prior to that. And before moving to Green Bay, he was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this name might ring a bell. Josh Freeman. Yeah, remember how terrible he was? Yeah, well, Van Pelt was the quarterback's coach there for him. So, really, I'm not sure what desire Gerard Mayo had to make this move. Also, Van Pelt has never had full control of calling plays of an offense before, so I'm pretty confused on the hire, but he's our guy now, so we'll see how that goes. Along with him, Ben McAdoo is rolling over to New England. He got hired as an offensive assistant. I'm assuming we don't have anyone as a quarterback's coach right now, but I'm assuming that he will basically play that role if he's not announced in that specific role. Again, he is another guy known for his quarterback guruing. He was a former head coach of the New York Giants. That didn't work out well. I think he lasted maybe 2 years there before getting canned because of how bad they were doing. But before he was the head coach for the Giants, he was a QB coach and offensive coordinator, and he did help Eli Manning really turn a corner back there. I think it was 2013. Yeah, 2013. Eli threw for 18 touchdowns and 27 interceptions. And then following McAdoo coming to New York, Eli turned his career back around. 2014, he threw for 4,410 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. And in 2015, similar stats, even better, 4,432 yards passing, 35 touchdown passes, and 14 interceptions. And he got his fourth Pro Bowl that season. So he did help Eli turn it around. He also coached Gardner Minshew as the Jaguars quarterback's coach in 2020. Obviously, Gardner is no Pro Bowler. Well, this year he was. But he's not that type of caliber player. In 2020, he had a really good season. The team was bad. They went with Trevor Lawrence in the draft. You could kiss Gardner goodbye. But the way that Gardner performed that year, you can thank partially to McAdoo at least as their quarterback's coach. He also was the offensive coordinator for Carolina in 2022. You know how that went really bad. He lasted 1 year there. And I believe last year he was out of the league, took a year off. But I actually do like that hire. I think he's going to help out whoever's at quarterback next year. Along with those two, we also hired Jeff Montgomery as our next defensive line coach. He had been with Green Bay his whole career since 2015, worked his way up in their program, and was the defensive line coach and run game coordinator for the past 2 seasons there. So I don't know much about that guy. I couldn't tell you about the Packers' defensive run game. but I don't mind the hire. That came after DeMarcus Covington got promoted from our defensive line coach to the defensive coordinator last week. So you do see some. It's crazy. Elliot Wolf, who was with the Green Bay Packers previously, who is now our director of scouting and like working in that GM role with Mac Rowe. He was with Green Bay. Alex Van Pelt was, like I said, Rodgers' quarterbacks coach in Green Bay for a couple of seasons. Ben McAdoo, I believe, spent time in Green Bay, and Jeff Montgomery just came from Green Bay. So you're seeing a lot of affiliation there. I don't know why or what it is. Like, obviously, the Packers have had a lot of success, but for some reason, Wolf and Gerard are fixated on hiring people from Green Bay. More on Wolf, though. A report came out this week that if he is the guy that is making the decisions in the draft, you can expect the Patriots to draft a left tackle in the first round. Now, if you guys remember, in my first episode or two, I was praising Joe Alton, how good of a left tackle he's going to be in the NFL. I even compared him to Trent Williams. Now, was that an overreaction? Maybe, maybe not, but that kid is going to be good. If we do want to draft him or potentially trade back or get another tackle, I should say, we should trade back because none of them are going top 5, and why not accumulate some more picks and get that player where they are valued to go at. Another interesting thing that is going to or that could affect us in the draft is Cliff Kingsbury, who I also talked about in a previous episode, just got hired by the Washington Commanders as their offensive coordinator. Well, the Commanders have the second overall pick in the draft, and interestingly enough, also want to draft a quarterback. Well, Caleb Williams is the consensus number 1 overall pick this year as a quarterback. But reports are going around that he doesn't want to go to the Chicago Bears, who have the first overall pick. And guess who Cliff Kingsbury coached last year in college? That's right, Caleb Williams. So, say Caleb doesn't want to play for the Bears. The Bears maybe change their minds if they want to draft someone else in that first overall pick. Maybe Caleb goes to Washington then, and then you have yourselves sitting at number 3. Then you can do a couple things there. You can pick between Daniels and May and get your quarterback, or again you can trade back and maybe even get a different quarterback at that point. Depending on the couple of teams or that are behind you, depending on what they want to do. So, a lot playing out there. It's a fun story to follow. Now going over to more college, or what happened over the weekend, more college stuff. Troy Brown, you might know the name, our former wide receiver, 3-time Super Bowl champ with us, is our current wide receivers coach. Well, he was the offensive coordinator at the Senior Bowl this past weekend for the American team. He got to work with some guys like Tyler Guyton, the tackle out of Oklahoma, U of SC wide receiver Xavier Legette, Houston offensive tackle Patrick Paul, and Georgia wide receiver Ladd McConkey. So those are all positions that you're going to try and draft for. You want to see how they are going to be. They could be potential draft picks. They're all great names. When it comes to the tackle position this year, the only thing that would deter me from drafting a guy like Joe Alt with your first overall pick is the depth at the position. And you could make the same argument for wide receiver as well. If you want to draft Marvin Harrison, yeah, he's going to be good for a very long time. I don't think anyone's questioning that. But if you have higher needs like we do with quarterback, you can also look back later in the draft, in the second round even, and find yourself a first round talent in a normal year. There's a lot of depth for the offensive tackle and wide receiver position this year, which is all playing into the Patriots' game plan with it when it comes to drafting. Troy also got the chance to go against quarterback Bo Nix and quarterback Michael Penix. Nix out of Oregon, Penix out of Washington. Those are the second tier quarterbacks of this year's draft, and guys that maybe you can get with your second round pick again if you look to go for a different position with your first overall pick. So interesting to see what maybe Troy Brown is bringing back for information on these players. Definitely good. I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts where we go Jaden Daniels in the first round and Patrick Paul, the offensive tackle out of Houston, with our second round pick. Haven't watched film on him yet, but I really want to, so I'll get to that. Hopefully I'll get some information back to you guys next week on him. But so many possibilities with about, 2 months to go, a little less, 6-7 weeks. Another guy this weekend who was offensive coordinator, who usually isn't, Wes Welker. Wow. He was the offensive coordinator for the AFC in the Pro Bowl games for their flag football game. Everyone laughed when I said, why not give him an interview for your opening? And look where the guy is. He's not there for some random reason. They didn't just pick him randomly. He's there because he's got potential. Still, I'm not going to get over it. Why didn't you just give the guy the interview? He's a former Patriot. He's got running one of the best passing games in the NFL in the Miami Dolphins. It makes sense to me, and I can't get over it. And I'm not going to stop mentioning it for a very long time, especially if this Van Pelt guy, who I'm not about, doesn't pan out. I'm going to be pretty upset. But it looks like he's going to be staying where he is this year, maybe, if Van Pelt doesn't work out, which I'm not going to say he is or isn't, but you heard my opinions. Maybe next year Welker gets that interview finally. Lastly, I just want to bring up that Steve Belichick, he got a job today at the University of Washington with the Huskies as their new defensive coordinator. I don't think this comes to any surprise or anyone's surprise, really. His time was up as soon as Bill left the door. I'm not sure what his brother is planning on doing, but as of right now, he's still our safeties coach. I'm gonna guess he's gonna leave somehow, but I haven't heard anything about him. So we'll see how that plays out. I really just wish the Patriots would give a hint at who we're drafting again, because this is killing me. I'm sure it's killing all of you guys. But I will keep you guys updated throughout the week on Instagram. Give me a follow. Same name, Paul Talks Patriots. I'll keep you updated there. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe here. And I'll catch you next week. Peace, y'all.